Hey guys, my name is Ahnaf Prio, and today I'm going to talk about what it's like to be a junior developer, how to go about trying to empower yourself, to power up, level up from a junior developer to more of a developer that can be considered a senior, not per se, a more confident one, a one that you feel like, yes, I'm in the next level. Why do I feel like it's important to talk about? I've been a software engineer for the last 4 years now, and I still consider myself as a junior dev. And sometimes I feel like there's not enough representation or talk about how starting off as a developer, you go through all these struggles, and there are tips and tricks that you learn along the way that people should be sharing, and we don't enough talk about it or share it to empower junior developers. And I felt like this is a really good opportunity for me to talk about this more, and hopefully someone can find something that they can relate to or get some good tips and tricks to actually use in their software career. More about me. I went to the University of Minnesota. I got a degree in computer science. Then I interned at two different startups, one out in California, and the other one is in Northeast Minneapolis named MyMeds. Right now, I work as an engineering consultant at a Fortune 500 finance company called Secure and Financial in downtown St. Paul. I do more front-end development, but have an active interest in DevOps as well. So without further ado, let's get to it. One of the first things I feel like as a junior developer, everyone should understand and be okay with is knowing that it's okay to fail. I think everyone goes through imposter syndrome throughout their career in computer science or software development in general, because the field is so big and knowing everything is almost impossible. You can be this guru who does front end, back end, cloud, DevOps stuff like there's way too much. I can't even name stuff. Like you could be this person who's a subject matter expert in testing per se and writing automated tests, and that could be your domain, and you have a broad level overview of everything. But there's no way you'll be an amazing engineer who knows all the nitty gritty stuff for React on the front end at the same time, Java Spring on the back end. You're an expert on architecting AWS cloud stuff on the sides. There's no way. And most of the time, when you're faced into these opportunities or positions where you need to actually build something, and in your head, you're like, I know how these interact, but you're just stuck there because there's some annotation, there's some specific framework related stuff that you don't know. I feel like you should know it's okay not to know. It's okay to fail. I think one of my biggest examples is grow up in the last couple of years. I have spent countless nights where I'm just sitting down there and I'm like, well, I wrote this test and I am gonna build out this feature. I know exactly what the feature needs to be for this to work. And then I put hours in it, dedicated time. And then at the end of the night, it wasn't working. And I felt like, oh my God, like I started doubting myself. And the thing is, it's okay. The chances are things are going to be difficult is because you're trying to solve a problem that is worth solving, and every worth solving problem most of the time will be complex, and it's okay to not get your solution just in like right there and there. It's okay to fail. I found it easier to combat imposter syndrome by surrounding myself with a more positive environment, talking to people, talking to my peers, people who are senior than me, that, hey, I find myself struggling, trying to build this out. I spent last night spending all this time trying to do this thing. And they will let you know that, oh yeah, I've had one of those nights, or they'll look at your code, they'll help you out. It could be something as small as like a spelling mistake, adaptation mistake, and it's okay even if it's the smallest of mistakes that you did not see it coming, because there's so much to do, and we're humans, and humans will make errors. I find myself uh, easier to combat imposter syndrome by having a diverse group of individuals around me, talking to my UX person from time to time, talking to my business analyst friends, talking to even people who are not tech about what you're working on. And sometimes that entire internal struggle that, hey, am I just like telling people that I'm an engineer, but not really, because I did not manage to get that thing done last night. Those conversations help because people are there for you, and it's okay to ask for help. So yeah, I want you to know, everyone knows that it's okay that you fail sometimes. And software engineering, most of the times, you are the first couple of tries building something out, you are going to fail and learn to be okay with it. What I don't think you should be doing is don't be this cat. Uh, I feel like I have talked to other friends and other engineers, and I put a couple of examples of these things they said about, hey, if you could go back in time, how would you deal being a junior developer and handling imposter syndrome a little better? Well, they were like, I sometimes found it frustrating when I wouldn't get something, and a team member would say things like, how are you not getting this? And becoming clearly frustrated that I wasn't getting something right away. That was so discouraging. Make sure you put yourself out there and telling other people, peers, if at any point you see uh, people not giving you criticism in a constructive way, it's okay to fail. And if someone else is telling you it's not, have a conversation about it. I think the second thing that I feel like you should do as a junior developer is always focus on learning the culture and learn how to communicate better. The culture, when I say it, is like every team operates differently. Knowing what kind of culture you are in, what are some of the ways you should be presenting yourself, what are the ways you should be working, is pretty brutal, pretty important. I feel like certain teams do it differently. We all practice software engineering practices, but certain teams will do it differently. Some do agile, some do waterfall. Even in agile, there's like different flavors of agile. Knowing the company culture, the team culture, gives you a good sense of how to work about things, and that always helps. You cannot be contributing to a team to reach its goals if you don't really know how the team operates. I could not stress on this enough. Learning how to communicate better about your engineering is a very, very important skill that everyone should have on the back of their pocket. Like, it's a tool set. Communicating not just tech stuff. Like, don't be don't be thinking that just because you can talk architecture with someone other engineer, that's the only communication skills you'll ever need in your career. Down the line, I think it's really important to be able to actually communicate your ideas and what your solutions are, crystal clear, without using tech jargons, to people who are non-tech. If someone's asking you stuff like a business analyst, and they're asking for a solution and how you're going to build it, throwing in tech terms like, I'm just going to build this serverless infrastructure, the Lambda is going to connect to the API gateway on AWS, connected to DynamoDB. They don't know. Chances are these people don't know, if they're not technical, what any of those terms or any of those frameworks mean. And the chances are people are going to feel a little insecure or be like, I have no idea. At the same time, they might be judging you, that you're a little too full of yourself, and you did not take into account that they're not technical to be explaining it to them. So I always like utilizing non-technical stories or jargons, non-technical stories or not jargons. The best way to put it is like examples to explain stuff. For instance, when a friend of mine once asked me what a DDoS attack is, it's like, how I want to understand, like, how does this work, the denial of entry when a server is being hit a lot. I gave him an example of a house. I was like, think about this, your server, your entire website is a house, and the customers are trying to get into the door, to go get inside the door of the house to look at your store, which is outside, which is on the balcony. And suddenly there are all these fake customers who are just in front of the door, not letting anyone else in. And that's like the DDoS attack, where you're being hammered with a lot of traffic and your actual customers cannot see the website. And he thought it was a really good example. And learning how to communicate better to non-technical people comes with a lot of benefits, because now they can pitch in their ideas, and you are now able to not only collaborate with engineers, but efficiently collaborate with non-technical people too. And chances are you'll learn from them as well. With that, I can move to the next. thing I feel like junior developers should always focus on to make sure that they're on the right path. I think learning how to adapt is a really big thing in our field, especially knowing that everything's changing every day. I still talk to engineers who are in more senior roles who tell me about how back in the days it was monolithic architecture, and they would be using languages like PHP to do their backend development, and they were really good at it. And now down the road, now that we are more into a different, like, because tech moves so fast, we're in different frameworks. If they didn't learn how to adapt, learn the way of solution engineering rather than software engineering memorized around just a framework or a language, they would not still have the same jobs, or like they would not have a job at all. I think what I'm trying to say is don't focus on nitty gritty details of what these specific frameworks, how they operate. Understand the solution that they're trying to offer, the amount of abstraction they're trying to offer, the frameworks, the programming languages, and how they actually do it. Learn how to build a solution itself without individual tools and framework as you're building stuff. Knowing that down the road, you're ready to adapt to pick up any skill set, not being afraid and not being tied down to a certain framework, a certain programming language is an immense skill to have. I know at our industry, a lot of people like to focus down or like focus and specialize in certain things. But as a junior developer, knowing how to adapt and being versatile in the sense that you can pick up any programming languages, given a couple of hours or days you spend learning is super valuable. I don't think as junior developers, we should be focusing on just one key thing and just drilling at it. Knowing how to be versatile and move around the tech stack, doing backend, front end, cross frameworks, Vue, React, Angular is very beneficial because down the road, now you're not limiting yourself to only one opportunity of a specific side of the tech stack, but now you are more versatile and you can pick up any skill set down the road and have more opportunities for future jobs. So learning how to adapt is a key feature I think every junior developer should be focusing on. The next one, this is one of my favorite ones, mentorship and guidance. Finding a good mentor is crucial. And why is that and how do you do that? Why? Because in software engineering, everything changes so much and it's such a fast-paced industry. I feel like there's so much to learn from engineers who have been part of this fast-paced industry. The immense bank of knowledge they have is unthinkable. And as junior developers, because it's such a vast industry, sometimes you will feel overwhelmed about the sheer amount of work we have to do, the amount of pressure you go through. And I think getting a good mentor who can guide you throughout that entire journey is very beneficial. A mentor could actually teach you the do's and don'ts. Also, tell you how in real life software engineering certain things are done differently compared to theory. A lot of times, down the year, in the last couple of years, I've seen how there would be conversations where we would take a performance hit on a little of a performance hit on the code we write, just because the code is less complex and can be better maintained. This is what my mentor taught me, that as much as performance is very important, maintenance is a really big thing that they never teach you in college or boot camps. At least I didn't. When I went to the University of Minnesota, none of the solutions that I was writing for exercises or problem sheets ever said, well, write a code that can be easily maintained. My mentor actually told me about how important that is and how tech debt pays a lot of problems down the road in the journey of a software engineering company or any kind of product. And you need to always make sure that you take that into account. Having the guidance of mentors who have been in the industry for years means they can teach you values like this. And I think having the moment to pair program with them or having them code review your stuff is a really good opportunity for you to just bank on all of that knowledge and learn how to be a better engineer. And I want you to know they want to help. No senior devs, I think teaching is a part of the job. Like senior engineers, they need to be training in new people. They need to help mentor you, because if not, things will fall apart, because they will not be there forever, or chances are they have more responsibilities now because they're senior devs compared to when they were junior devs. Some senior engineers are architects on the side, or are like engineering leads on multiple different projects. At the same time, some of them have management roles, and they're kind of like, I like to think of them as college professors, and teaching is part of their job. Investing in careers, getting more better junior engineers in the team, and helping them develop their career is something that they do want to do. At least in my experience, most of the senior devs I've talked to and I've interacted with, they enjoy. Chances are they enjoy doing it. And I think just reaching out to them, to making sure that they're comfortable with it, just simple sentences like, hey, I really like your engineering style and I'm kind of looking for like a mentor figure from time to time. Can we do like a one-on-one every month, bi-weekly? Would you look at this PR, pull request for me? What do you think I could do to be a better engineer? Do you have any constructive criticisms for me? Kind of questions, open-bounded questions like this with your senior devs help start that conversation to result into that relationship where now you have a good mentor who can teach you the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, and help you better to be a better junior developer. One of the other things that I feel like we struggle with a lot, especially me, is time management. And I think chances are the senior dev do it too. But the thing is, you will realize that down the road, senior developers don't code as much. I remember going to this conversation not a conversation, I was on a Zoom meeting, and then we were just talking, and there were a couple of engineers who were more experienced than me, and we were just talking about, hey, on a day-to-day basis, how much time do you spend now on programming, actually writing up code to write solutions? And I said 6 hours, and my friend Emma, who is 4 years older than me and 4 years more senior than me as well, and is in a more lead position at her company, she said, I spend barely 2 hours anymore, but now I don't get to spend that much time. And I was like, why? Because she's like, well, I'm an engineering lead and I'm looped into all these meetings with conversations with other teams, and I just don't have the time. What I'm trying to say is, as you grow more and more into a mature senior role, time management is a key part of what you need to be good at. Chances are, if you're going to be on a management track after a junior developer, be an engineering lead, engineering manager, or be on the architecture track where you're a senior engineer and then an architect, you need to be really good at time management and you need to be productive. So as a junior developer working on those skill sets where you're really good at time management, time boxing yourself, I need to finish this, writing the solution, and then by the end of the day, and if I don't get it done, I will be asking for help, is all it takes. Be setting yourself up for achievable, measurable goals, and time boxing that will help a lot. You need to make sure that you are only spending that much time to allocate it to get the job done, and if it's not getting done, ask for help and move on. There's a lot to be done, and without proper time management skills, I don't think anyone could actually end up in a really successful career as a software engineer. The next thing I feel like you should learn how to both write and actually engage yourself in is documentation. A lot of times I've seen myself stupidly joining a new project or like looking at a piece of part of the project of a software architecture that I have not ever interacted with, and then struggling to actually get things built on top of it, or debugging it, or even in writing an enhancement feature just because I did not read the documentation. Documentations are crucial. Chances are the engineers who wrote the project, who are currently writing the project, know that maintenance plays a really important part of software engineering, and they want to be setting you up for success. Chances are, if a certain part of a code does not look like it's easy to be comprehended because it has business logic in it, it's a little complex, chances are there's documentation on it. There's README files, or there's inline documentation because they want you to succeed. Chances are there's probably even a Jira ticket or a story that talks about the business requirements and how and why they implemented this specific business solution in the sense of the code they wrote, which might have been a little complex. So they provided documentation. I think the best kind of documentation is truly no documentation, where your code is written crystal clear, but there is a fine line between that, because just as I said that sentence, I feel like I was contradicting the other things I was saying. Well, write your code as crystal clear as possible so that it's easily readable, but at any point, if you feel like there's an immense amount of business logic you've been breaking it down into, some future engineer is going to look at it and have no idea. Just write some documentation around it. Practicing how to communicate better, writing documentation is pretty crucial, and it's pretty helpful. I think we can just power through a couple of the next of the slides, because I feel like I've touched bases on this on my previous slides where I talked about mentorships. I think pairing is mutually beneficial. Pair program as much as you can, providing time allows you to do so. Junior pairing with juniors help a lot too. Don't always try to be pairing with senior developers. I feel like everyone has their unique skill set and unique contribution to bring to the team. Making sure that you're pairing with a different diverse group of people means you learn from them. I learned most of my best trips and tricks and nitty-gritty details, IDE, shortcut stuff from junior developers, from my peers that I've paired up with. And it's always fun to pair because you get an extra set of eyes to be helping you drive this business solutions and the code that you write to solve these business problems by the solutions. Code reviews, spend good time reviewing other people's codes as much as you want people to be reviewing your codes. Don't feel bad if someone's writing, this is probably not something if someone's write something, I think there's a different way of doing it. Embrace it with good heart. Know that we are all here to debate and implement the best case solution. Code reviews are a good way for people to look at your code, have good things being told to you. It's a way of engaging with everyone to self-improve yourself and also the business's engineering practices. Don't be shy and don't feel like that it's being a personal attack on the code you write. It's okay. We're here to debate, talk about stuff, and then move on. I think one of the most important things is setting clear expectations, not having clear expectations from yourself, or not engaging with your engineering managers or your peers and asking them, what are your expectations of me? Leads to a lot of confusion. Have set time-boxed deadlines, have crystal clear end of quarter goals, even every day, have clear expectations of what you're going to do. This will make you feel better at the end of the day if you get something done. And if you don't get it done, you will now have exactly the knowledge of what needs to be done tomorrow to accommodate that. I feel like a lot of the time we're just busy writing code and we do not focus on processes. I think as a junior developer, understanding and actually giving value to the processes that help our engineering practices be better is something you should always have an appreciation for. I think learning basic DevOps practices, learning how Agile works, owning up certain pieces of the code and features as a team, or owning up to a migration. I'm just saying that getting better at defining processes and implementing it is a really good skill set to have. And knowing that there are processes around us, appreciating that they're here to help us is also a good thing. And you should know that processes are here to make it more efficient. Last but not the least, make sure you set up with reasonable goals. Do not expect someone new to complete as many tasks as you would someone experienced. set up reasonable goals for other people and yourself. I think this sentence it accounts for more senior developers. They should know that they already know. They're not expecting you to be a rockstar engineer as you start up joining. They know you're a junior dev. Set reasonable goals. Don't go through imposter syndrome just because if you're stuck on something, your code is only going to be as good as how much you want it to be good and how much you believe in you. And with that, I would like to end this presentation. Thanks, MinneBar. Anyone wants to reach out and talk about more of these stuff, Google Ahnaf. That's my handle on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Medium, and GitHub. And I hope everyone enjoyed this.